Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Lure Sports proudly brings to you the best racing podcast in the world. Now, here's your host, Lauren Leach, the color guy, Mark Allen, the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast presented by the Corp Racing and Valley Gasket. Thank you, Tim, from the Corp Racing, and Ben and Kerry with Valley Gasket. Means the world to us, like we say every time. It's just amazing. So thank you. Mark, episode 160, man. How are you doing?
160. All right, man. Hey, cruising right along. How was your Vegas weekend, man, this last weekend?
Yeah, it was okay. I was able to make a couple of good picks here. We'll see how that pans out for the future, but it was pretty good weekend down there, I'd say.
Not bad. Vegas put out a good show, man. I was impressed with it. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got a good one here for you. Bryce Miller, who is a Kulwicki Driver Development Program finalist, will be joining here in just a moment. So excited to have him back on. We had him on last year or a year before to talk about his story, but exciting news for him to be a part of the KDDP this year.
Yeah, there's only 5 contestants, right? And he was the last one on the caboose to get in, so congrats to him.
Yeah, I really thought that Tristan Swanson would make it. He got that big win down at the Dells last year or the year before, and he's an incredible talent too. So I'm sad that he didn't make it, but very happy for Bryce at the same time.
Yeah, they've changed. They changed a little bit on KDDP. There was more drivers, and there was actually more money that was involved with it too. So they've kind of tightened it up a little bit. But yeah, there's still 5 drivers still fighting out for to enhance their racing careers is what it's all about still, man.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to Bryce coming on, we'll talk about some news, of course, and then recap Las Vegas before looking ahead to this weekend here, and a lot of racing going on. You got NASCAR, all 3 divisions running there at Homestead. You have F1 running their second week at China. You have IndyCar running over at Thermal, but we'll talk about that further here in just a little bit. But why don't we go out to the hotline right away and bring on Bryce, buddy?
Hey, let's do it, man. Let's go to the hotline.
Let's do it. All right, Bryce, thanks for joining us today. Some exciting news came out this past week with you being a part of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program there. I see the picture of Alan behind you too, so glad to have you on here and happy to hear the news.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really big deal, especially in the state of Wisconsin, just kind of carrying on that legacy that Majeski started, and then everyone else kind of followed suit, having at least one driver and then last 10 seasons part of the Kulwicki program. But it's something that me and my team have worked really hard at to kind of build up to this level. It's not an overnight thing. We didn't just go buy a super late. We've kind of worked our way through the ranks, just doing trucks, 602 late models, just whatever I could get in. I tried to race, and then last year we had the opportunity to get in the super late model ranks, and kind of led to this opportunity. But it was still really cool. It's the first year that I've applied for the Kulwicki program, and I thought I had a good chance of getting in, but you just never know. And all the interview and going through all that, everything went good, and it was just really cool to kind of work with the original crew members that were on Alan's team and get to meet them through the interview process, and just was a truly humbling experience. And now to be a part of it is pretty cool, and just the people just already that I've been able to connect with, and that I would have never have thought I would have been able to is pretty crazy. So it's really exciting, and it's going to make for a busy summer for sure.
Hey, any nerves, man, waiting on you to get called on?
You wouldn't even believe it. I knew, I was like, man, I think they're going to put me last if I am going to get in. So, the first 4 days went by, and I haven't got a phone call yet, and I'm just kind of waiting. And then Friday morning rolls around, and I'm pretty nervous. I didn't really think I was going to get in. And they literally called about a minute before the announcement and said, hey, like, you're in the program. So I felt like I was the 30th qualifier at the Snowball Derby watching 10 cars go out, So it was pretty crazy that I got the call at the last minute. And then got to see my name as the announcement and all that. So just really thankful to be in. It used to always be 7 people, and now it's down to 5. So it was just that much harder to get in this year, and just really thankful that I did get in.
I mentioned that picture behind you. You mentioned the history of Wisconsin and Alan Kulwicki here. Was your family big Alan Kulwicki fans growing up? And how much have you learned about Alan throughout the process or even before the process started?
Yeah, and I was always familiar with Alan Kulwicki, but it goes back to my dad. That's how he got his original number when he started racing, was Alan Kulwicki. He was a huge Alan fan, and so my dad raced the number 7 for a while. And then just with different sponsor deals was different numbers. But that was his guy growing up and his idol. So that picture's been hanging there for a long time. So everyone thinks I kind of staged it there, but it's honestly just been there since I've grown up. And you can see the clock there. That was always my dad's, and we have a bunch of die-cast cars and that. So since getting in the program, definitely learned a lot. But just growing up in Wisconsin, it's hard not to know the Alan Kulwicki story. So I'm excited to keep learning more and get to learn some of those stories that are just not the surface level stories, the stories that within the works with the crew members and all the people that were involved with him directly. It's cool to hear all those stories as well.
You mentioned you were driving a lot of things here. Midwest Truck Series, I have the shirt on here representing them. The 602s you mentioned, now getting into the Super Late. I had a good conversation with you over at Oktoberfest. You were racing the Super Late. Really impressive day over there. You were hoping to do more with that, but it costs a lot of money to do it at that level, especially in today's day and age with all the technology and all that. How much will this Kulwicki development driver deal help you to do more this year in the super late model ranks?
Yeah, it's helped a lot already. Just I've honestly picked up 2 new sponsors just because of getting into the program, plus the stipend that they give you throughout the year. And there's so much more than just that 7,000 that's included with it. Just the connections within the motorsports network that they have with that program, and it's just been huge already. So. We're really looking forward to a bigger schedule this year. Last year, like you mentioned, we dabbled a little bit, obviously ending at Oktoberfest, but we went to the Dalles, we went to Hawkeye, went to Jefferson. So we went to a lot of different tracks, and I got to thank the Truck Series because of that, because before I kind of went to Jefferson or Dalles, kind of stuck to close to home, and then went to the Truck Series and we were going everywhere. So I wanted to do that with the super late model stuff. I didn't want to be just good at a couple tracks. I wanted to just get a good variety of everything so that when we did get to this point and wanted to do traveling races, we were ready. So we built up a notebook last year and just kind of looking to expand on just things that we learned from last year. And our first race this year is going to be the Joe Shear Classic 200. And just really looking forward to that race, as it's such a cool race and it's such a good super late model race. It's one of my favorite races of the year. So it's just going to be really cool to be a part of that.
Hey, man, I was looking on the internet here, and it looks like your dad is really hands-on, man. It's kind of a family organization you got there, right?
Yeah, me and him are in the shop every single night, and sometimes it gets too late because there's just so much to do. But I'm really thankful for the family that I grew up in with my mom and my dad. They both come from racing backgrounds, so it's kind of all we've ever known, and I'm just thankful that they help me with a lot of different things. Just if I need help making note sheets for the racetrack or sponsorships, anything like that, they're willing to help. And it's really cool to be a part of it. And we do it as a family. So, we spend a lot of time together every summer, and it all works out. But just along with my crew, they're just as impactful as well. So a couple of weeks ago, we had to get ready for a car show, and all 3 of them came over, and we worked all weekend and got pizza and drank Mountain Dew and hung a race car body. So it's just really cool to have them a part of it as well.
Yeah, it's a good segue. What I wanted to bring up was, Kulwicki obviously was owner driver, very hands-on, had a peculiar thing about way about doing things. I feel like you guys are the same way. You're very hands-on. In fact, when I ran into Oktoberfest, among other places, a lot of times you're sitting there looking over the car, seeing what you can do, and you're very hands-on yourself. So it's cool that you're a part of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program and being as hands-on as you are. And I'm not trying to knock anyone else, but in today's day and age, you don't see that a whole lot anymore. So I think there's a cool connection there with you and him as well.
Yeah, we definitely pride ourselves a lot of doing all our own work, and it was just kind of the reality of it when I started racing and getting to this level. It's like if I want to do this for a while, I just need to learn how to do this stuff because the second you start paying someone to do this week after week, it's like you're going to be broke really quick. So yeah, I do all the different load machines, bump stops, the setups. It's all done right here at our family shop, and it's a lot of work every single night, but it just makes you that much better of a race car driver when you know what the car is doing, and then when you go out there and feel what it's doing, and you know what this adjustment does, you can really fine tune your race car. And there's so many good race car drivers that are example of that. I think of like Ty Majeski, Andrew Morrissey, and Casey Johnson. They all are really, really good drivers, but they also can all work and build the race cars themselves. So there's a lot of connections you can make with that. So it's definitely something I aspire to be, and I just get involved with every aspect of my race cars I can.
How familiar are you with your competitors that'll be with you in the KDDP this year? Seth Christensen, Derek Golchacki, Taylor Hoare, Noah Eisenhower, the other 4 competitors about that. How familiar are you with them, and what's that like connecting with your competitors as a part of the program?
Yeah, definitely don't know a ton. I know Noah Eisenhower as he's from the Midwest, but like I was telling my dad the other day, it's like this is going to be probably one of the first years in Kulwicki that I'm not going to be directly racing against the people I'm competing against. In a sense, you look back at last year, Levon, Max Kaler, and Ty Frederickson, they're all racing the same divisions and in the same series, but so that'll be a little bit different, and I think that's kind of an advantage in some way or another. But like Taylor and Derek, I know they race in the ACT Tour, and I know some of the tracks they race at, but I'm not too sure on the series and the competition out there. And Seth Christensen, same kind of deal. I know he's with Freight Racing and all that, and so I know he's going to be really good equipment and that kind of thing. But so it'll just be kind of interesting because it's hard to compare because we're on opposite sides of the country. So it's going to be, it's just hard to compare those all together.
So, hey, you've been taking notes from tracks that you've been around. Which ones do you have confidence in, and which ones give you more of a challenge?
Yeah, honestly, going into Oktoberfest, I was kind of nervous because obviously it's a very, very big racing event, and we went there in the summer, and we just didn't really have what we needed. And then we went down to Hawkeye, and we were better at the end, but it just took us all day to get to where we needed. And so Hawkeye and lacrosse are very similar. So we went to Oktoberfest not really knowing what to expect. And so we went there Wednesday and just weren't really that good. And I had a different set of shocks that I didn't think it would work, just something to try. And we put those on, and we instantly picked up 3/4 tenths. And then we stuck with that the majority of the weekend, and we were right there all weekend long. And we finished top 5 in the last segment of the trickle, and we qualified into the trickle, which is hard to do in itself, and then ran in the top 10 all day in the 200s. So that was my least confident track, was the flat half miles. And then by the end of the weekend, we were really good. So I'm excited to go back to Jefferson. We were running in the top 5 there after starting, I think it was 16. We didn't qualify very good, but we were running in the top 5 there in the midway point of the race, and had a brake failure. And the Dells, our first race, we were in the top 10 and finished in the top 10s consistently there. So there's a lot of confidence going into this year, but there's a couple of tracks that we haven't been to and never got the chance to go to Madison last year. So be a real testament what we can do throughout the season at Madison and the Joe Shears. So we're ready to get there and ready to get the season underway. And once it's here, it's going to be full bore from there.
What's the schedule look like this year? Are you going to focus a lot on the Super Late? Are you still going to be running the Midwest Truck Series? I know you kind of have some other drivers in mind running the truck for you as well. So what's your schedule look like for this year, and what's the plan for you and your team?
Yeah, for sure. So I won't be running any Midwest Truck Series races. We still are going to be working on the truck. Austin Warner is going to drive this year, so I'll still be at every truck race, but it just needed to alleviate. I couldn't do both, and a lot of the races, they're both at the same time. So we're going to crew both of them, and it'll make for very busy race days, but we're just going to do purely super late model racing this year. So our plan is to run the full ASA Midwest Tour and hit all those races, and then kind of fill in the schedule as needed. We're not going to make the first Alive for 5 race at the Icebreaker, but I believe we'll be at the other 4 races, and then we're going to go back to the Tom Reffner Classic on that Wednesday night in La Crosse, and then probably hit the National Short Track Championship at the Dells. And there's a lot of races to pick and choose from there, but our main focus is the ASA Midwest Tour, and then kind of fill in as needed and just how things are going.
What's the biggest learning curve that's been for you and your team going from the Midwest Truck, the 602, to the Super Lates? I feel like even though the 602 late model and the Midwest Truck are different vehicles, they're similar in power and setup and all that versus the Super Late model. What's been the biggest learning curve for you as you dabbled in that last year and going forward to this year?
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference, I mean, honestly, they drive different, but that wasn't the hardest part for me. I feel like I picked that up pretty quick. But just learning the bump stops and the shocks. You have triple adjustable shocks, and then you throw in these rubber bump stops that look like they go on the bottom of your Nike shocks, and you got to figure out what they do. So that was a big learning curve for us, and they're so sensitive, and so you can be off by a 16th packer, and it feels like you're a mile off. So it's just so fine tuned. And the thing about the super late model ranks is everyone has very, very, very good equipment. We're all running really nice stuff. And so it just leaves the margin of error to 0. So you got to be perfect in all aspects. And then it always helps when some races go your way. So that's anything to do with, I mean, that's just racing, but yeah, there's just a lot to it, and it's a lot more expensive as well. So that's some of the bigger difference.
Hey, man, that's for sure. Hey, I put guys on the spot a lot of times, man, so do the best you can here. Hey, who helps you out, man? Who helps behind the scenes to make your program go? Who do you want to thank?
Sure. Yeah, I have a lot of people to thank, and a lot of people that have taught me a lot throughout my racing career. But for sure, I want to thank my parents. They, like I mentioned earlier, they've been really supportive in all this. And then the crew that helps me directly, Jake Selmer, who used to race super late models. He's my spotter. And then I have Colin Kazuski, Craig, and then some of the guys that are kind of don't really directly help me at the racetrack, but help me a lot behind the scenes. Andrew Morrissey's been one of the biggest helps in my racing career, and I would not be here without his help with just setups. And he's taught me a lot, and just he doesn't directly come to the shop, but he's a phone call away, and kind of like bounce things off of him of like, oh, I think this will work. And he's always right there to help me out. And then along with that is Dave Klein. He helps me a lot with different fabrications. And he raced back in the 80s and the 90s. So he's a wealth of knowledge as well. But between those two, they really make this program go. And you don't directly see them involved at the racetrack, but behind the scenes, they do a lot of work for me.
How did you get into super late model racing? Where did the car come from?
Yeah, so actually it came from Griffin McGrath. He bought Fury late model about, I want to say 2020, and he ran it for probably 2 or 3 years. He ran at Milwaukee. Every year you'd see him at Milwaukee and Oktoberfest for sure, but just the way his business went, he was just getting so busy. And the one day he called me and said, hey, like, you need an opportunity. You deserve to be super late model racing. And if I don't help you out with this, you'll just never be able to go super late model racing, or it'll just take you way longer. And I don't want to see that happen. So he gave me an opportunity to go super late model racing, and just forever thankful for that, because we would not definitely be in this spot if it wasn't for him. So it was pretty cool to get that phone call, and for him to recognize that I needed an opportunity, and just trying to make the most of it. And like I said, really thankful for that.
You've already done some things, and a lot of things, I should say, to help the racing community and to get involved and help a lot of people. The Kulwicki Driver Development Program really puts a lot of focus on that. Do you have any plans upcoming this year that you can share of how you further what you've done already?
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, I've done a lot of these different things in the past with, like, some of my friends were in the program, so I always helped out with that. But back in 2021, me and Riley Stenjum, we did a Bandolero camp, Jefferson Speedway. We were at 30 local Bandolero drivers that went to Jefferson, and it was like a skills and drills camp, like you would see like when you're in grade school going to a basketball camp. So we did just different stuff that would help you. And with those bandoliers, it's a lot of momentum. So we set up cones to just try to help them in different scenarios. So that was really cool. So I'm going to definitely do that again, and hopefully get some other fellow KDDP members and like Levon and Max or Riley again, and just do that again, because it was such a big hit and those kids learned so much in one day. And the kids that honestly were really good and were winning, some of them learned the most. And just to see at the beginning of the day to the end of the day what we were able to accomplish was really cool. And then we did a bunch of other stuff. I did a Future Legends program where we mentored a couple drivers throughout the year back in 2021. So that was really cool. But then there's the Slinger Memorial go-karts as well. So still trying to iron it all out. It's hard to, I don't want to say for sure, but those are definitely something that we're looking into. It just kind of depends on the schedule. Back then I didn't have a full-time job. I was still in college. So the flexibility was a lot more, but I think for sure that we'll be doing the Bandolero camp again. And then I believe the Memorial go-karts is on Wednesday at Slinger, or once a month or somewhere in there. So still trying to iron out those details, but definitely will be announcing those on my Facebook when that time comes.
Hey, just winning the Kulwicki program would be, the best thing that could happen. Well, what is a satisfying goal for you for 2025?
Yeah, it's tough because the Kulwicki program you looked at last year, and you got to run a lot of races to kind of get to the top fives and all that, and it takes your top 14 races, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to run 30 races in the summer just because it costs a lot to run these races. So we're looking at the full ASA Midwest Tour, like I mentioned, but our goal is to win the Rookie of the Year for that, and then win a super late model race. So those are tough goals. I know Ryan Farrell in a podcast the other day, he said, man, if you win one race in the Midwest, you're doing something. In two races, you had an unbelievable season. It's just really hard to do, and you got to hit it right, and things got to go your way. So those are our two goals for sure, at least for me going into the season, is win a race in the super late model ranks, and then win the ASA Midwest Tour Rookie of the Year.
Well, man, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see both of those come true. You got a heck of a talent. It's been a pleasure watching you come through the Midwest Truck Series, seeing you dabble with the 602s and super lates now as well. And congratulations on a well-deserved honor to be a part of the program. I'm happy to hear the news of that, and can't wait to see what this year brings for you. It's always been a pleasure running into you and your dad and your team. You're great to see at the track. You've been great to us, a lot of different people. I appreciate that. I appreciate all that you've done for the racing community and will continue to do, and can't wait to see you at the track soon, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. And one goal I did not mention was the Kulwicki. Obviously, it'd be a goal to win that, but if we do what we the other two goals of win the ASA Midwest Tour Rookie of the Year and win a race, everything else kind of takes care of itself, because in those races you got to be running the top 5 and top 10. So if we kind of take care of we finish races and do our deal, I think we could win that deal as well. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be a busy summer. There's a lot going on trying to maintain both of these vehicles, but we only get to race for such a short amount of time in the Wisconsin. So really looking forward to the season and seeing you guys at the Joe Shear Classic, but I'll be at the Icebreaker as well with Austin. So looking forward to it.
All right, we'll see you down at the Dells, man. That's coming really fast, man. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be down there, man. So we'll run up with you, man, and we'll chat for a while, huh?
Yeah, you're telling me. I got a lot of work left to do. I got to hang a truck body and put an engine in. So right after this, I'll probably head down to the shop, and got a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. It's the March Madness kind of year for the racing side of things.
That's right. Hey, speaking of that, you got a team that you think's going to win?
Man, I don't know. I have Florida in one bracket, and I just one bracket I flipped a coin, and heads, tails, lower seed, higher seed, and I'm kind of all over the board with March Madness. No one ever knows. So it's just fun to follow along with.
Well, it's a fun time of the year, and like I said, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon. Can't wait to have you on again.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, see you in a little bit. Bye, bud.
Sounds good.
Well, Mark, that was cool having Bryce on here to talk about his exciting news with the Kulwicki Driver Development Program. Obviously, so exciting there. Glad he was one that made it in there. And man, he's going to have a busy summer there with, Austin Warner driving the truck. Austin's out from California, lives in Georgia, but what an exciting young prospect he's going to have in his truck, in addition to trying to compete for a Kulwicki Driver Development Program championship and a rookie year and possibly championship in the Midwest Tour as well. It's going to be a quick, busy summer for Bryce.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we told him off camera, enjoy it, man, because it's going to go fast. He's going to be so super busy this summer, man.
Yeah, incredibly, and cool to see Austin get an opportunity. We were talking to Bryce off camera a little bit, got to know a little bit about Austin. He's 14 years old from Georgia, like we mentioned, going to run the full season. He's been racing Legends for quite a while and had a lot of good runs there. So going to be another exciting prospect to watch coming up here.
Yeah, we'll go down to the Dells, man, and we'll go over there and rub elbows with him and see what he's all about. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate Bryce and his dad and his team. Like I said on there, they're always great to run into, and they're so great for the racing community, like a lot of others too. But they're really great. So it was great to have him on, and we appreciate him coming on.
Yeah, congrats on that Kulwicki. So we'll be following him along, man. So hopefully he can lift the trophy here at the end of the year, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mentioned the other Kulwicki Driver Development Program drivers in the interview with Bryce, but I'll mention them here again. Congratulations to everyone for getting in. Seth Christensen, Derek Lachecki, Taylor Orr, Noah Eisenhower, who was another Midwest driver there, and Bryce Miller, of course. So congratulations to all five members, excuse me. And it's going to be an exciting season again to follow. It's the 10th Kulwicki Driver Development Program season here, which is just incredible.
Won't that be it's 10 years already. Isn't that weird? That's really weird, man. But boy, I tell you what, sure enhances racing programs, man, and makes them step up to the next step and the next level, man. So it's all good stuff.
For sure. And of course, Ty Fredrickson was last year's champion too. So some drivers up here have had a lot of success in that program. Ty Bajeski was the inaugural winner. Alex Prunty had a good run. Steve Apel was in with Ty and finished runner up there. A lot of drivers from up here having a good success in that program.
Yes, sir. And it's just so good after all this time that it still keeps marching along. So, yep, it's all thumbs up on that stuff.
In honor of Alan, which is the best part, it does so much for the racing community and all these drivers and teams, but to keep honoring Alan is awesome.
Yeah. So Alan Kulwicki was before your day running around up here, and not everybody can just grab a suitcase and just go down south and do it his way. He did it his way. He was actually tough to work with because he was just, so precise of what he wanted. And you'll never see that ever again, that you'll have an independent go down there, especially from not even from down there doing. You come from up north, and a lot of times the Southern boys back then, just like, we don't want somebody like him coming down, and stinking up our show or whatever and taking the championship. But, yeah, he was the last of a good breed, man, and we'll never see that again.
Yeah, for sure. Just cool to look back on his career and all that. And we'll talk about Alan a little bit too after the Cup Series race too. A little homage to him this weekend as well. But we'll move on a little bit here. Hey, did you see the Wisconsin International Raceway owners, the Vandalwicks, get the Spring Classic winners necklaces that they have here? Some bling going to go out to the winners of the Spring Classic races. So that was pretty cool to see.
I did get a little glimpse at that. So, yeah, cool deal. I saw that today, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool, neat deal. That's the in thing now, so pretty cool that Dan and Ginger went out and got those. I'm sure people will appreciate winning and getting a little extra thing with it.
Hey, it's the little things. It doesn't matter, right? It's the little things, and it makes a big deal. It's a good thing there. I like that.
I like it too. Yeah, I want one. But Hey, the Rattler, the Rattler, the 49th annual Rattler was this past weekend. Michael Atwell led 249 of 250 laps down there. Colin Ullman and Stephen Nasse rounded out the podium. But how about that, leading all but one lap down there? Michael Atwell, domination.
I would call that a thumping right there, man, a country thumping. So yeah, good for him. We've seen his name around. We've seen him at the Snowball and like that. So yeah, he gets around there, and he did a good job down there. We had some northern boys up here. Gabe Summer was down there, and wasn't Justin Mindike there also. So yeah, so a lot of these guys like to go down there and dabble down on the southern tracks.
Yeah, Austin Nason was down there as well. So there was a couple. They all had pretty decent days, but nothing like Michael Atwell, obviously, leading all but one lap.
Yeah, so he had it together that day. Sometimes it goes that way, man. You're just on, and you just can't be beat. So
Sometimes it's just your day.
yeah, it is. They all dream of that, man. Everybody, all the drivers dream of days like that.
Oh yeah. Road America, this was cool news. IMSA announced that Road America will become a 6-hour IMSA Michelin race endurance cup round in 2026, swapping places with Indianapolis Motor Speedway as the only major change for next year's WeatherTech Sports Car Championship schedule. So a big 6-hour endurance race going to Road America, part of the IMSA schedule next year. That's awesome to hear.
That is news to me, man. Far out. 6 hours of racing all at once. I think that might be on the bucket list for that.
That absolutely will be on the list for next year.
Ooh, 6 hours, dude. Can you handle it?
Yeah, I think I can.
I
I
think
might
I
be
can do
begging
that.
for more.
Yeah. Give me 12. Give me 24. Yeah. You got to start somewhere, right?
24. I'm in. I'm in.
Oh, okay.
We talked about doing Daytona. We would do Road America.
Yeah, we got to start somewhere, right, with these endurance races. So yeah, let's go check that out and see how we like it, and then we can go from there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Toby Sowery joins Rahal Letterman Lanigan as a reserve and development driver there for IndyCar. Sowery will do simulator and other work for the team. He drove 3 IndyCar races last year for Dale Coyne, so brings a little bit of experience there, but some young talent going over to Rahal Letterman Lanigan.
Yeah, but they've got a few teams. What are they, 3, 4 teams? So Ray Hall's been around for quite a long time with Letterman. So yep, so they're well established.
Yeah. The F1 race was interesting. The weather got interesting. There was some rain and moisture that came at interesting times and start the race, and then you go to slicks, and then it came back at the wrong time for McLaren. Lando Norris dominated the race. Oscar Piastri was his teammate. He was running second when the rain hit in one of the corners they went into, and he went off track. Actually, both him and Lando went out, but Lando was able to keep the lead and went on to win the race over Max Verstappen. But an incredible opener for the Formula One season there, with Lando taking first and Max taking second there. So pretty cool race this past weekend.
Yeah, the rain really affected that race a lot. There was some that were trying to run on slicks, man, and they just couldn't do it. And then if you don't touch the grass, man, you see that you touch the grass and you're gone. And then if you're in the grass, you can't get out of the grass. And yeah, it was quite a damp racetrack, man. But it looked like lots of action there. And then they wrecked a few cars there, man. Hit the walls pretty hard there too.
Yeah, the rookies kind of had a rough day, except for Antonelli, who's part of the Mercedes team. He finished 6th, I believe. Or no, actually, I think he got moved back up in 5th. He had a penalty that moved him down. He got back inside the top 5 there. So rough day for the rookies there, but for the most part. But hey, ESPN got 1.106 million US viewers for the opener there in Australia. Last year's first race was in Bahrain. It got 1.122 million on ESPN. So a little down from last year, not much, but Australia was the 3rd race last year for Formula One and got 541,000. So up from that for sure. But like I said, they had a lot of different strategy and a lot of things going on. So it was pretty exciting. And they go to China this weekend. That's going to be at 2:00 in the morning here, Central Time,
Stretch your
on
time.
Sunday morning. So have a little bit of coffee with you if you're up for that one.
Wow, yeah. Or else get home from the bar and you got something to watch when you get home, right? If
Yeah.
you want. So, otherwise, yeah, a couple days later, man, you can YouTube it, and you can watch it that way too. So,
I got it recorded right from ESPN, so I'll probably tune in later. It's not unheard of that I would be up at 2, but I'm definitely not going to stay up till like 5:00 to see the end of that race. I'm not doing that. So, but yeah, yeah, if you're coming home from the bar while you're making your what did Taco Bell call it? Fifth meal.
yeah,
While you're making your fifth meal, you can have some Formula One go with it.
there you go. What a combination that is, man. Make it work.
Yeah, yeah. No free shout outs though. Taco Bell.
Yeah.
No really news in the ARCA or Truck Series, but in Xfinity, there was a rule change in the off season that I didn't necessarily catch. Cup drivers can be in Dash for Cash races, and Cup and Xfinity drivers can be in the Triple Truck Challenge races there. So that's been a change. So that's why you'll see some Cup drivers be in the Xfinity race this upcoming weekend, even though it's a Dash for Cash.
Really? I did not know that. So take some more money away from the kids, huh? So
Well, they can be in it, but they cannot win the Dash for Cash. So it's not going to take anything from them. But so they can be a part of the race. They just can't
okay.
win.
Okay, as long as they're not taking the money away from them, because that would just tarnish the whole damn deal, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember in the years past, they weren't even allowed to be in the races. So that changed. But boy, there's been a lot of news regarding the Cup Series. First one I got here is Casey Mears is going to return to the Cup Series at Martinsville, driving the Garage 66 car for Carl Long at Martinsville.
Yeah, there's a name from way back when, right? Casey Mears. So, all right, gonna give her a go. That's the '66 car. So you never know on a short track, man. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah. Traveler Whiskey wants to continue advertising to NASCAR's fan base after the Daytona 500 and is in talks about how to do so. Junior Motorsports has said that the program was so successful that Justin Allgaier remains the #1 Cup driver in merchandise sales.
Really, that's a good deal. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden they just might throw their hat in the ring for the 600 at Charlotte. Never know. That's the next crown jewel, and we'll see. Maybe you might see that 40 car there at Charlotte.
That's a good thought. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they'll go a different route. Maybe they'll sponsor in a different way or a different team or find something else to do. But yeah,
Well, if it's successful to be on the racetrack, man, it's going to be successful to do it again. So
yeah.
I've done everything except go to the liquor store and go get some of that. So
Yeah, I know I got to get some too.
I know if I see it, I'm going to grab it.
Yes.
I don't have to get a whole big bottle of it, but I'd at least like to say, hey, what is this all about? And give it a sample.
Yeah, me too, man. This I'm going to preface this. This is not a joke. Seafood company Beaver Street Fisheries will be sponsoring Ty Dillon for 20 races this year.
That's a lot of sponsorship and a lot of beaver, right?
It's a lot of seafood. Yeah, I don't.
And we like seafood. You like seafood now that I turned you on to that.
Yeah, down at Pensacola, yeah, they have the best down there in my opinion. But
you get close to the ocean, you gotta have the seafood, man. It's always the best right there. Yep, can't get that from around here, man.
I gotta move on, otherwise we could be going down a rabbit hole here. NASCAR is close to agreement for returning to Montreal in 2026 and 2027.
Yep, we saw the Canadians are going to get back online there. So, hey, they've always had good races there. Got a tough last corner, man, to make it to the finish line, and usually ends up in, we've seen fights and definitely disagreements after that last turn always there. So, yeah, I guess it's all right to see Canada get it back again.
Wasn't where was that at? Jill Villeneuve track, was that where someone's shoe ended up on the track and Danica hit it, or was that which one is Canadian Motorsport Park? Is that Montreal or is that Jill Villeneuve?
I think that's Villeneuve, ain't it? The Montreal one, I don't know about. I know they want to try to get the Cup and Xfinity series up there, and I'm not sure, man.
It's Jill Villeneuve, and I think that's where that shoe ended up there. So that's not Canadian Motorsports Tire Park. That's Jill Villeneuve, and I think that's where that shoe ended up. NASCAR did go there a few times back in the day with Xfinity and maybe even Truck. But yeah, Circuit Jill Villeneuve might be coming back.
And you know how much the Canadians love their racing up there, man. They love racing up that way, so they deserve it.
There are so many that call into Sirius XM 90 and just love NASCAR racing and racing in general. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, they love their racing up there.
There was Goodyear tire testing Tuesday and today on the Charlotte Oval. If your name started with a B again, you were involved. Byron, Briscoe, and Blaney were the Cup drivers. Xfinity drivers also tested. Creed, Almirola, and Austin Hill. I haven't heard much come out of it, but there was some tire testing. I'm sure we'll hear more later on today or tomorrow.
Don't you think that's an advantage to them drivers when they get a tire test? And then once when they go back there, they have just a slight advantage?
Probably. It depends what compound they go with. Do they go with what compound that they're used to? The teams will also get the input. So how much does it help the driver versus the team? Would be an interesting question to ask, but I'm sure there's a little bit of any seat time helps. So if you got a little bit of a grasp on it, I'm sure that helps a little.
I always see that, but it's like a revolving door. You know, these drivers get, and then also if they do another one, then they get some other drivers involved. So it's just not always the same ones.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a pre-race concert at Bristol next month, and it'll be Rodney Atkins. I know our country fans out there will enjoy that.
Never enough country there, buddy. Yeah. So, you know, seems like country always was better with racing. I'd rather have Southern rock and roll myself, but anyway, that's good. Another concert, keep the fans entertained.
Yeah. And then a couple of penalties here. Kyle Busch's team has listed its replacements on its roster for the two-race suspension for the wheel coming off at Vegas, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But Chris Jackson, who will be the rear changer, he currently pits the Matt DiBenedetto car in Xfinity, and Garrett Krall will be there. He normally does the Chris Wright car in Xfinity. Chase Briscoe's team shows the replacements are coming from Noah Gregson's car. Rear tire changer Adam Riley, who also does Taylor Gray's car in Xfinity, and Jackman Nathan McBride both move over from Gregson to Briscoe there. So I know we'll talk about the penalties and the things that happened coming up here, but just wanted to mention that right away.
You knew those were going to come down, man. As soon as them tires come out, you go, whoop, there goes two guys, you know, both teams. So we knew that was coming.
Joe Gibbs Racing announced that Progressive Insurance will be the primary sponsor in 18 races this year for Denny Hamlin. The first race will be this weekend at Homestead.
In a blue car, yes, blue with a white font. So, yep, looks sharp, and Progressive is on board.
I was going to make a joke. Maybe I shouldn't.
Not you. No, your humor's too dry, buddy.
Well, is insurance rates going to go up due to the sponsorship?
I don't know. Maybe. It all depends how much Hamlin wrecks his car, right?
You're right. Yeah, there you go.
But, you know, that's the way it goes, right? Yeah, your rates are going to go up just because somebody else is sponsoring. So it's a win-win for them, you know, so.
Well, and you know, we joke about that, but honestly, they have to market some way to try to get you to switch. So if you're going to market something, you might as well be on a race car.
Yeah, well, I got Progressive, and I'm happy with them, so it doesn't mean that I like Denny Hamlin more, you know, so.
And then last bit of news I got is Miami Dolphins linebacker Bradley Chubb will give the command to start engines for the Cup race Sunday this coming weekend at Homestead.
How'd you like the last week's one?
Well, I like Morgan Freeman. Hell of an actor. A little bit of a dry gentleman, start your engines. It was more of like if you're going to do IndyCar or Formula One, that's what you expect. NASCAR, we need a little bit more oomph. So NASCAR, if you're listening, me or my kids or Mark would love to give the command sometime.
Yeah, well, I'd probably be hoarse after I got done with it, but yeah, with Morgan, it was more of his tone of his voice. Tried to put it out there that way, and the guy's just an awesome dude, and so it was good to see him there. So it was all right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and he has such a great voice, and he did a good job. That's what you should expect from him. So if you're expecting something with a little more oomph, you were expecting the wrong thing there.
yeah, jumping up and down and all this and screaming and yelling. Yeah, we wouldn't expect to see that out of him. So
Yeah,
kept it natural. It's all right.
yeah, yeah. Moving on to recap Las Vegas here, buddy. All three series were there, just like they will be this weekend. Unfortunately for William Sawalich, he got into the wall early and had a tire down, and there was no caution.
Yeah, that cut the right front tire, man. That was a hard hit, man. That really destroyed that car.
Yeah. Then a caution came out for moisture. The stage would enter a caution. Ty Majeski won it. Heim was first off of pit road, but he was speeding. His first ever speeding penalty, which is incredible to think about. And then unfortunately, the red flag came out for a little bit here as well.
And it looked miserable out there in Vegas. It's just like a night race, and they said they had sleet in the afternoon, and it wasn't even in the forecast. And tell you what, you hopefully you had a nap that day, or you were because we knew we were going to be around for a while. It took a while to get this race in due to the weather.
Yeah. In stage two, Ankrum would win it. Honeycutt, Caruth, Ruggiero, Fenhouse all got penalties on pit road.
Yeah, so the penalties, man, just keep racking right along, don't they? They're in every race, and they hurt more the later it is in the race.
Yes. Then there was another caution for moisture. We kind of were battling that. And then after that, there was a crazy restart, 4 wide. Hemrick and Mozak made a lot of contact. They all made it through. And I tell you what, McAnally Higelman had all 3 cars there, and it was almost disastrous for them.
Yeah, once when you get them all together, like they say, it's always terrible once some two guys are into the same wreck and destroy the same stuff. So, uh, bummer for the doubling it up for the owner, man.
Honeycutt then got loose and saved it. Ankrum got into the wall trying to avoid him. Caution came out. I was kind of frustrated here because it seemed like, boy, there was a lot of commercials, especially when you had the rain delay and the red flags and all that. And I don't know, it was just something I was slightly frustrated with there. Haley had a long stop, and Curry had a tire get away under this caution.
Yeah, Haley's gun broke, man. So that's something else. It's always see the crew scramble when the gun doesn't work, and yeah, you can't control that stuff either.
Yeah. Then another crazy restart happened. A couple of close 4 wide calls. Majeski pushed Chandler Smith and Heim as well. Friesen got one heck of a run, but caution came out for Jack Wood.
Yeah, Jack Wood, he crashed that. He crashed that pretty good over in turn 4. That was with 41 to go. So we were getting down to the end then finally.
And then what a save by Lane Riggs. Oh my goodness.
That was a dandy there. That was a heck of a save there.
Unbelievable. But it was Corey Heim who would go on and win the race over Enfinger, Tanner Gray, Majeski, Riggs, Friesen, Caruth, Chandler Smith, Crafton, and Ankrum. Ty did get the fastest lap, 30.260 seconds or 178.453 miles per hour.
Yeah, Heim definitely showed his true colors on that one, man, and he won that right out. This is the second win. His first one, he didn't get to celebrate with the penalty at Daytona, but yeah, he got to celebrate this one, and good run by him.
Yeah, Stouts. I told you I wanted to take him there. I wanted to, and unfortunately I didn't, but picked up a point there still.
And Tanner Gray with a third. He looked rather impressive. Best run for him for the year. So yeah, you had the 71. You had Raja picked, and I had Chandler Smith, and I was so confident with Chandler Smith and how he was going to do, and he just didn't have it in clean air, and he fell back like into 12th and worked his way back up, and he just needed one more position to get by him, and I was unfortunate. So so much for my confidence on that one.
Yeah, it was still a great race. I know it's going to be marred by the moisture that came Friday night, but the racing was just awesome on Friday night.
The race was good, yes, very much so.
The Xfinity race then, unfortunately for Sawalich again, he got loose with Jeb Burton behind him and got into the wall hard. Retzloff also spun after contact with Daniel Dye trying to check up for Sawalich, and this was on lap 1. So Sawalich kind of had a bad weekend.
Well, he not only that, man, he had a flat tire on the way to the racetrack, and they had to call Uber and have it come in that way. So even on top of that, man, he's just a complete garbage weekend for him, and he didn't even get one lap in. Sounds like me on iRacing, can't even get one lap in.
Yeah. Just unfortunate for sure. But
Yeah.
another unfortunate thing is Josh Williams is still battling a sickness there, and Ty Dillon had to replace him. It's been a few weeks for Josh Williams being sick, so it's kind of concerning here.
They're saying that he's having trouble breathing and he thought he was confident that he was over it, and probably have to do a little bit more testing with him to see exactly what's going on with him. But yeah, breathing problem. You got to breathe when you're in a race car, man. And I don't know, he's having issues. So hopefully they can get him back together. After he's out of the car, he's standing there and he looks great and everything like that. But there's a breathing issue with him when he's in the car.
Yeah, and you're tucked in there so tight. I'm sure that affects it big time.
Well, there ain't no air moving around in there, and you're getting artificial air, through a hose and stuff like that. So, don't know, but 3 weeks, man, that's getting to be a lengthy time. So there's some kind of issue going on there.
Yeah. Ryan Sieg and Sanchez have a close call. Sieg kind of got Sanchez loose when he tucked in underneath him there, but Allgaier would win the stage. Clements would stop on track with a fuel pressure issue there, and Allgaier had a slow stop. In addition to that, Love also had an uncontrolled tire. There's something about it. There's usually one race early on in the season where there's just a bunch of penalties, and Las Vegas, for whatever reason, was it.
There's something that goes on with the pit road there. They always say when you come off a turn 4, it's right there. You gotta. It's always been a challenging getting on that pit. So once again, yeah, penalties, and once when it gets to be this late in the race, man, get the later in the race, man, the more it hurts.
Oh yeah. Sieg then had a gear issue and wasn't able to get up to speed there. That would hamper him. And he would have to fight his way back up to the front. But Hill also thought he had an issue and had a pit, and it was loose lugs.
Yeah, that we got 2 of them on right now, man. Hey, with that shifter with the linkage, they gave him a can of WD-40 and they sprayed it down there. And guess what? Apparently, I think it worked. It seemed like it kind of fixed the problem, just like so. WD-40 even got a little shout out there.
Yeah. Allgaier and Almirola swapped the lead at the end of the stage, but Almirola was the one to take it, and Taylor Gray had a penalty there.
Yeah, and Austin Hill was dealing with a vibration. He ended up coming in on an unscheduled pit there for something that was going on with him.
Zilich, Sammy Smith, and Sanchez were all speeding late in the race. Jeb Burton had the gas can leave the stall, which got underneath Quapple's car on his stop, which could have been pretty scary because the gas man wasn't expecting it there, and it actually got into him a little bit there. So, again, I just talked about it, but an interesting pit road.
It was amazing how that can got shot right underneath the car, and then they dropped the jack, and I thought, is that going to keep the car up high enough where the tire doesn't have contact? But it worked out. But, yeah, the gas man that was standing there, he didn't even realize that the gas can flew underneath there.
Man.
I've never seen that before, but That's why we watch, man. You always expect the unexpected.
Quapple had a pit late because they didn't get it full of fuel there. I tell you what, whatever it is, at the end of these races, he's had some terrible luck. I think we even talked about it last week, where he has to pit late or has an issue at the very end of these races after being up front. So, man, he's got a lot of speed, had a lot of good races, but whatever reason, it just hasn't materialized at the end of these races.
And he 8 laps to go, man. That hurts when you got to come in because you ain't got enough fuel, and that just absolutely ruins your day and points and everything, man. He's fast enough to win, dude. You pick him in the right place and everything, but he's got to get this bad luck out of the way.
Yeah, he does. Justin Allgaier would hold on to win the race over Almirola, who was pressuring him at the end. It was Allgaier, Almirola, Love, Hill, who had a great rebound as well. Mayer, Jones, Ryan Sieg. Again, he battled all day with that issue and got inside the top 10. Harrison Burton, Zilich, and Creed rounded out the top 10. Allgaier, Love, Mayer, and Hill will be the Dash for Cash drivers. The fastest lap went to Connor Zilich, 30.266 seconds, or 178.418 miles per hour.
Yep, this was a trial for the Dash for Cash, man. So we've got the 4 guys that are going to race for $100,000 at Homestead this weekend.
Yep. Also, the CW got 1.081 million viewers there for the Xfinity race.
They did a good job on the broadcast. Good job all the way around. Wasn't upset about that.
And Kyle Busch filled in for Parker Kligerman, which was pretty cool. Kyle Busch also has a future in that if he decides to go that route. He's always been good. I know when he was up there with his brother Kurt, they did a phenomenal job together. So we got to be very fortunate that we can have drivers and people recognizable in the sport that can fill in at a moment's notice.
And speaking of which, there's drivers only for the isn't it the Xfinity race this weekend? So that'll be all on there, and so we'll be able to watch that.
Yep, yeah, that's always cool too. Then the Cup Series here, Keselowski team cracked the diffuser when unloading the car from the swap-out truck, so they had a little bit of work to do. In practice, Blaney spun and backed into the wall, so they had to fix some damage. And Haley and McDowell teams were having issues with their driver cooling system. Haley car was pushed to the grid, and he wouldn't have the use of a cool shirt. McDowell would be able to replace it, but would not have to go to the rear for replacing it. So, man, a lot of issues. We were just talking pit road, but even the issues prior to the race with these teams.
Yeah, and then after it's all done, then you find McDowell on the pole, and just like, wow, that 71 car, hasn't been around very much, man, but it showed the speed. But he's been from last week and all the bad luck that he had, it was good that he came around and got the pole position.
Yeah, and I talked about last week, I think it was too, how I thought Spire and Front Row Motorsports were kind of the two teams competing to take that next step, and I thought, well, I'm kind of out on Spire, and then Michael McDowell goes out and sits on the pole.
Yeah, that's how that works, man. So it all depends, what track you're at and everything like that, So then as the one guy that you had to feel for this week was Ryan Blaney, man. He wrecked in practice, and then he came in on the first pitch, and he couldn't get the left nut off. It looked like they were pounding and beating the hell out of it. By the time he got out, he was 2 laps down. And he worked his way this way and that way, and just what a complete crazy weekend for Ryan Blaney this week.
Man, yeah, Blaney was coming through the field, but he had that issue with the left front that cost him 2 laps. In addition to that, Briscoe lost a wheel, so a caution came out, so he would remain 2 laps down. Stops were kind of still going on there. Cindric was having a good day. He had just come to pit road. But here we go with penalties again. Hamlin and Busch speeding right off the bat there.
Yep, Hamlin speeding caught right there. So that's how they got pinched there at the end of the first stage.
Yeah. Cindric would win the stage. Elliott then was speeding at the end of the stage. He was first off a pit road, but got caught.
That's why he got out first, because he was speeding, right? Yeah. So just come back in, man, fill it all back up, and everything like that, and you lose your track position. But it's still in the first stage, so you can still get back from that.
And I want to go back a little bit. I think that Busch speeding penalty, the team was pretty mad because they weren't told about it. They would have came back down and filled it up and maybe made an adjustment. And they were not happy with NASCAR officials telling them very late there, and they just had to go to the back. So they didn't even have an opportunity to pit. So they were not happy.
And there's even more of a story that's behind that, because Kyle wanted to know which section was it? Which section did he get pinched at, because he said he never saw the blue light come on the dash. And so they looked at it and they figured he was doing like 50.2 through there. I guess, 50 is the speed limit or over. And they looked at all the other ones and he was at 49.6, all of them except for that one right there. And why that spiked, and Kyle was questioning that, and he was quite not happy. And his language should send him to church this Sunday.
Bowman would come to pit road after the restart there, and I tell you what, that was a close call for everyone behind him, because he darted down pit road really quick, and nobody really had time to adjust there.
He had a vibration, man. He came in. Yeah, it's amazing. He just shot across. It was like me going into Whataburger,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Whataburger just turned left and hit it, right? So that's what it reminded me of, right?
Yeah, Earth,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, another guy that had a rough day was SVG. He went around on the backstretch for the first time. And then Bell had a loose wheel leaving pit road, but he stopped in Briscoe's box and they tightened it. I had never seen that before. It sounds like nobody else has either, but it saved him. It would be a penalty to go to the back, but it saved him from losing a wheel, possible suspensions and all that. So it was a great call.
And I yelled bull roar on that. I was not happy about that. I just don't. I didn't like that, but there was smart thinking on the team. But there's some people, that don't have that option. It worked out for Bell, man. He's still got a penalty for being outside the box, but nobody ever saw that before. And Harvick brought it up, saying there's going to be some communication about that, and I've heard nothing. I guess it's just. Sweep it under the rug and move on. So now we know that that's an option. Could you imagine trying to go into some enemy's pit and pull in there? Hey, we, tighten my tire for me like this. They probably just look at you like, yeah. They came out even with the jack on the 19. They were smart enough to get the jack, and he said the front tire, and they went over there and they put it on, and yeah, it was a smart move. But I don't know, man. I didn't like it at the time.
Well, first off, Briscoe said he didn't know what was going on. He just heard yelling on the radio because it was his team and he's not even in pit road, and he's hearing yelling and what's going on. So he didn't even know what was going on. I don't know how I feel about it, because you're right. It could be an advantage if you have a multi-car team, but also it's a safety issue. So would you rather have someone tighten that before you left pit road, or what would be the other option? So I do not know where I stand on that just yet.
Have some pit stall with a guy in a jack and a gun outside of pit over by turn one, and anybody that has a loose lug, they can pull into this one box and they can have it corrected by an official.
Maybe that might be an option.
That's safer than having a tire man, because someplace somewhere someone could hit a tire man and you just never know where that could actually go, man. So
dangerous for the drivers, the teams, the fans, everyone when the tire.
Everything. There's nothing good that comes about a tire running around on a racetrack.
No. Then Kyle Busch got into the wall in the exit of turn 2, and then the wheel falls off. So we were just talking about it. He had a loose wheel. We mentioned the penalties a little earlier, but yikes there.
Yeah, and then the rim came off right along with it, man. So there was a rim and a tire going at the same time, and Kyle, he shot across the track the same way, and instantly you get a 2-lap penalty for that, and then you're going to lose your changers the next week. So, and plus the fine, it's just all around bad once when you lose a tire. And it's really something how Larry McReynolds shows. They show over and over again how that tire is supposed to be on there with that pin that's on there. and how you catch that, But tell you what, sometimes when the jackman, just like the 19 with Briscoe, when the jackman drops the car, that's the cue for the driver to hit it, And they knew on the 19 right away that they were pointing, no, we missed it, and you pray that it sometimes, every once last year, we've seen a couple of guys actually make it back around without the tire coming off. So you pray that it doesn't happen, but unfortunate for the 19 and the 8 this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad situation. And then Bush wasn't happy because when he went to the garage and then came out of the garage because it's not a big enough penalty to go to the garage, they made him sit at the end of pit road for 2 laps.
Yeah, once you get back out on the track and then you stop, you're just like, you remember the old days when he was giving the bird to the official? Yeah.
Not just the bird, the double bird.
Yeah, he was. Remember that back then? He was just taking his frustrations out through the windshield. Yeah, so it was all right.
Yeah. SVG, his troubles continued. He had a flat tire. He was able to make it to pit road. And then Gilliland brushed the wall, came off of it, and got into Stenhouse. Gilliland goes back into the wall. Chastain, Jones, Hamlin would take 2 tires there. But a rough incident out of turn 2 there for Todd Gilliland.
And so, yeah, you're talking about 2 tires here. So this is where this race just started going haywire on all kinds of strategy that was going every which direction. And yeah, you had to keep up with what was going on here because there was so many different strategies that was going on this one, more than usual.
Oh, yeah. Larson would win the stage. Hocevar got boxed in and lost a lot of ground. Some stayed out, some took 2, some took 4. This is, the caution before kind of took care of it, but the end of the stage, too, there was some more strategy, and you had, like you said, you really had to pay attention to it.
Yeah, it was all over the board at that time, man.
Ware would spin and hammer the wall there in the final stage, and then they go 4 wide and wreck on the backstretch. Blaney, Jones, Dillon, Gregson all involved. Stenhouse also spun. He was spinning before that incident even happened. Blaney was mad while he was still wrecking. He threw up his hands all mad while he was still turning around. Like, okay.
Like his day was over and his day was terrible from the whole weekend. It was just horrible. And yeah, he thought there was 2 on the inside and 1 on the outside, and really it was actually the other way around. He heard it the wrong way, and he pinched, wasn't it Gregson? He pinched him across, and unfortunate there. And that Cody Ware incident, man, when he backed into the wall, it's always scary when you see these guys slap the wall with that driver's side door, no matter what, man. That's still nasty to hit on that left side, man. Definitely concerned about him that he was be able to be all right out of that.
Yeah, and I forgot to include Wallace was involved in that as well, and he wasn't happy. He screamed over there, "I didn't give enough room to these blanks," and Freddie Kraft came over and said, "I'll tell you who that was later." So
yeah. So it was unfortunate for him too. There was nothing that they could do.
Kyle Busch, his rough day continued. He got into the wall, and then Gregson blew a tire and got in the wall with 25 to go. Caution came out. Logano, who it looked like he was going to pull the same strategy from last year and go 70 laps or further on a tank of fuel, had a terrible stop there.
A horrible stop, man. He just unbelievable how far back he came. But yeah, and then all the strategy came around. We were going to see who on tires and who was all going to try to make it and everything like that. So yeah, and then we had a 19 to go restart, man, to the finish.
How about this though? Josh Berry goes on and gets his first Cup Series win in the famous Wood Brothers Racing 21 in their 75th season. Unbelievable, very, very cool. Suarez was second. Priest, Byron, Chastain, Cindric, Bowman, Allmendinger, Larson, and Elliott were the rest of the top 10. Berry kind of did, like I said earlier, an homage to Alan Kulwicki and did the Polish victory lap there down the front stretch. I saw a clip from him on the Dale Jr. download this week, and he said he kind of wanted to do what Dale Jr. did. He didn't want to totally burn it down, Dale Jr., when he won the 2014 Daytona 500, he kind of did that Polish victory lap and just wanted to soak it all in. And Josh saw that and said, I kind of want to do that when I win. And it came to fruition, and he was able to do it. He did do a little burnout after the TV interview, so he did burn it down just a little bit, but he takes care of his equipment, and that was a cool moment. Cool to see Josh get that victory and work his way up to where he came from in a short amount of time too.
He earned that race, man. You know, Suarez was out front, you know, and there was some good side by side racing between him and, you know, there was a few laps. They were really side by side of who was going to pull this off, and then finally he got clean air, and then all of a sudden he just took off, ran off to the sunset. Yeah, Josh Berry works on his own equipment, you know. We always see that with Ty Majeski too, where he doesn't burn his equipment down, you know, and ruin your equipment. He understands how the components and everything goes through. And yeah, you know, just a regular flag, you know, the old fashioned hold the flag out in front of the fans is just classy enough. You don't have to sit there and burn your car down or start tires on fire and everything. It's just, I don't know. I'm old school, man. I like the old flag out of the window.
Yeah, I do too. I said this about like IndyCar versus NASCAR. I'll use it again. It's kind of refreshing to see someone do something different and take care of it.
You know, just be like Barry Sanders when he scored a touchdown. He just walked over to the umpire and just handed him the ball like, I've done this before. And that's just as classy as ever, man. Just like, you know. And isn't it great to see that classic Wood Brothers red and white car out there, just like, man, they've been there all 75 years, man. They've been there the whole time. And it's just great, man. It's quite a popular win. Hey, don't be surprised if he don't pull another one off here. That 21 car has been looking better than it ever has, man. Josh Berry has that 21 car working, and they're in the playoffs now, man, so good for them.
Yeah, he could be a title contender. And, you know, we talked about that last week, how Josh Berry has been really earning it. He's been up front for a lot of these races. And if you're up there enough, you're finally going to pop off a win. And that's exactly what happened. And you're right. I wouldn't be surprised for him to find victory lane again and to be in the playoffs this early in the season for them already. I mean, just awesome. It's just classic.
But they're a satellite to the Penske team, you know, so they got the same kind of equipment, same kind of stuff. We definitely seen the 2-car, you know, Cindric was okay, you know, he was there doing well. But with Blaney, and Blaney just had a bad week. And Logano, you just didn't know what, you know, he led the first 30 laps, and then he ended up mired back. Just at one time he was running like 28th, like, where the heck is he going? And then all of a sudden everything flip-flopped, and you're right. I thought, oh, is he going to pull this off again with 70 laps and try to make it on fuel and everything? So he was up and down. He got a 15th out of that. So, yeah, but once again, that strategy all over the place, man. If you, as a race fan, you got to love that, man. That was good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Logano, they were having an issue with their tire coming off too, just like Blaney did. Logano was having that issue. So what he did is he tried to get in a little hard, and he overshot his pit stall because he knew they were going to have that issue and lose a second or so trying to get that tire off. So he overshot his pit stall, and that mired him back further in the field there at some point, because he had a couple of long stops there. So unfortunate, but super cool that Josh Berry got that win there. And, you know, they've picked up that win with Harrison Burton, his first win last year. You know, you think back to Ryan Blaney at Pocono, they picked up their first win there. And then you think about the 2011 Daytona 500 with Trevor Bayne getting his first win in the Wood Brothers car. So, man, the last few drivers that they've had, and they've picked up their first career win. And I think they were saying that Blaney also had a loose wheel that day, like Josh Berry, because Josh Berry actually had to come in at one point for a loose wheel. And they were saying how Blaney had that same situation at Pocono ways back when Blaney won over Harvick. So kind of a weird, similar circumstance there for the 21 team.
Sure looks like they got a mainstay driver, though. You know, looks like Berry could actually stay with that 21 car, and it's definitely made that car relevant, man. It's good to see. Good to see.
Well, I want to know what's different from last year to this year. Did Penske get more involved, or what's the difference from Harrison Burton to Josh Berry there? I'm sure Harrison Burton looking at that's like wondering what happened there. But Josh Berry's, they're both heck of a talents, and kudos to Josh getting that win there. Very, very popular win.
It's just the way the stars are aligned, dude. So it just it just happens the way it happens. It's a head scratcher, man, but you just never know. You have the right setup in the right area, right place, right time, can make it work.
And Miles Stanley coming over from the 22 crew, being the crew chief for Josh Berry. There's a difference there too, and they're clicking. So, yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up Barry Sanders, even though I'm a humongous Packer fan. Barry Sanders will always be my favorite player of all time. So that's pretty cool for you to bring him up too.
You're welcome there, but it's classy, man. It's you can sit in football and you act like a fool, whatever you're doing. Why don't you just, hey, I've done this before, give the ball to the referee and move on.
Yeah.
It's good enough. Yeah.
I saw this also on X from Charlie Crawl, our friend over with the Arkham and Art series. He said the last time the Wood brothers won in back-to-back years was 1986 and 1987, with Kyle Petty driving. The 1986 win was their only win with the number 7. So kind of an interesting fact there about the Wood brothers.
That was the Richmond race when Dale Earnhardt and Waltrip ended up in the guardrail, and Kyle Petty won that race in '86 at Richmond. Yes, sir. In the I think it's the 7-Eleven car.
It was, yeah. I was gonna joke with you, and be like, I don't know what you're talking about when Daryl and Dale got together. I don't recall that, but of course, I've seen the highlights, and I'm a big Earnhardt fan. That was
we all knew that race. That was a dandy there. So, but yeah, Kyle Petty was running third at the time, man, and he got the win there.
Yep. The fastest lap of the day went to Tyler Reddick. He had speed of 29.194 seconds, or 184.970 miles per hour. FS1 got a 1.48 rating and 3.011 million viewers for Sunday's Pennzoil 400 at Vegas. The best for a NASCAR event on cable since the Spring Darlington race in 2021. There's not a direct comp again for this week because Vegas was held at an earlier date, and the comparable fifth points race was on Fox. So no comparison there. But the viewership seems to me like it's holding steady or is pretty healthy.
It's healthy. It's good. Yeah, Vegas always ran in front of Phoenix, and then this year Phoenix was in front of Vegas for the first time. So,
yeah.
But they always seem to deal with weather out in the desert, man. I don't get it, But they do get some rain out there in the spring like that. That Friday night was kind of disappointing trying to get that truck race in. Definitely knew that Saturday and Sunday was going to be all right. So, but yeah, they still you go out there and you figure you don't have to deal with the weather, but yes, you do.
Yeah, you do. Well, man, let's make our picks here and talk about some of the TV schedule coming up here. We'll start with the Truck Series going to Homestead Miami Speedway. Last year's winner was Grant Ingfiger. You get to go first, buddy.
Hey, man, I am.
This was a tough pick for you.
This was tough. I mean, I lost sleep over this one, thinking, what am I going to do? But I guess if Kyle Larson is going to show up in a truck, in the with the 07 truck, I guess I'm just going to have to take Kyle Larson. We'll see how that goes, huh?
I would have never guessed that. Wow, surprising. I am going to combat you with his teammate in the 7 truck this week, a guy who I think, did he win the high limit race this past weekend? I think he did. Corey Day, I'm going to come out and challenge you with. So hoping for a good day out of him.
And he had the pole. He had the pole at Vegas in the truck. So we know he's fast, but he didn't get the finish that he deserved out there. But yeah, that's a good pick, man. Good team. We'll see. Teammates, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah. Then for the Xfinity Series here, the defending winner is Austin Hill. You get to go first again.
Well, once again, I first lost the first 6 hours sleep of that night, and then the second half was to decide this one. And I came up with the same thing, man. And I guess, if Kyle Larson's going to run the 17, I guess color me stupid. I guess I got to take him and run him again.
Wow. Just
Tough,
call me
tough
shocked,
stuff,
man.
man.
I'm going to come back with you with a guy that has never won in the Xfinity Series. He's come close. What is it? 13 times he's finished second. I'm going to go with Sheldon Creed.
Why not? And he runs great at Homestead, man. So we're going to see probably a 1-2 finish here because he'll just get another second behind my guy Larson, and we'll see how that works out, huh?
Yeah. For the Cup Series, the defending winner was Tyler Reddick, although it was run later in the year. I am going to take the defending winner. I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick. I really want to take Larson here, but I want to save him from later. Plus, by me picking Reddick, I thought was going to force you into using someone for a second of the third time early on here, although you did not pick who I thought. So tell us who you got.
Well, you'd think I would go right along with Larson and do the three-peat on you, but you know what? I think Bell. I can get, or Bell, but I think I can just get a little bit above that, man, with the performance. I'm looking for a victory this weekend, man. I'm swinging for the fences, and I'm going with Willie B. Willie B, and he's top of the power rankings right now, and this been a super year for him, and I see why there's no reason why I can't use the 24 against you this weekend.
If I'm not mistaken, he won a couple of years ago at Homestead, Miami, correct?
You are correct, sir. Yes, sir. And most laps and a couple poles, and he's been getting nothing but top fives this year and everything like that. So that's going to be a tough one for you to beat.
Yeah, it is.
Nothing against Reddick, though, because we know how he can run the rails at Homestead, man.
Yep.
Run that passenger door right up against the fence at Homestead. So we'll see how that goes. Always exciting.
I think it's going to be a great race. Always is at Homestead. So looking forward to the weekend. As far as the schedule goes, we talked about Formula One being at 2:00 a.m. on Sunday. This is Central Time on ESPN. Also got IndyCar running this weekend. So this is their schedule in Central Times. On Friday, 5:35 on FS1 is their practice. Saturday at 12:00, another practice on FS1. 4:05 on FS1 will be qualifying. Then going to Sunday at 10:02, the warm-up will be going on FS1. 2:00 on Fox will be the pre-race, and 2:17 also on Fox. The race goes green, 65 laps in the 80s and 0% chance of moisture all weekend down there for the thermal race for IndyCar. As far as NASCAR goes at Homestead, Friday at 2:35 on FS2 is truck practice and qualifying, and then 7:00 on Fox, which is awesome for the truck series to be on the main network. 7:00 on Fox, the truck race gets going. Stages of 30, 30, 74 with 5 sets of tires. The weather will be 70s in the day, 60s in the PM with 0% chance. Saturday on the CW app at 9:30, Xfinity practice and qualifying. 12:05 on Prime Video Cup practice and qualifying. 2:30 then on the CW NASCAR countdown, and 3:00 on the CW. The Xfinity race gets going. Stages of 45, 45, and 110 with 5 sets of tires in the 70s with 0% chance. Sunday then on FS1, 12:30 NASCAR race day. 2:00 the Cup Series race gets going. Stages of 80, 85, and 102 laps with 10 sets of tires in the 70s with 0% chance. So looking for a great weekend of racing and a lot of racing going on. Looking forward to it.
Whole bunch of 0% down in Florida, southern Florida, man. So weather's not a factor down there for this weekend.
Right. Yep. Going to be a great weekend. I just want to mention before we get going here, our thoughts and prayers still with one of our biggest supporters, Brian Buksick. Passed away a week or so ago, and we mentioned that last week. Huge loss, and his visitation is Saturday from 9:30 to 11 over at Wickman in Menasha, and then 1:00 to 7:00 over at Lake Park Pub or excuse me, Lake Park. They changed the name there, so I apologize. But so hope to see some people out for that. I know I'll be hitting that up. So just continue thoughts with him, his family, and everyone that knew him, because that is a big loss. So yeah.
Yep. Gonna miss talking to him after the races, man. It's definitely gonna be a void right there. So, yep, thoughts and prayers to family and friends of Brian there.
Yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough.
It is. Enjoy today, man. That's my motto. Live for today.
Yep.
Tomorrow's not promised.
Yep, and he would want us to keep going, so that's what we're gonna do.
That's exactly right.
Well, hey, man, I know March Madness is in swing, so that's exciting as well. There's a lot going on. You and I are going to head down to Madison for high school state basketball again this year on Friday, so that's going to be a fun day for us, too. I'm sure we'll tune into some racing as we can, and also the March Madness thing going on. So going to be a good time. Happy to spend some time with you again down there, and it's going to be a great weekend. So appreciate you, man. And appreciate Tim with the Corp Racing, Ben and Carrie Valley Gasket, and everyone else's supports. And hey, man, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a fun racing weekend. We'll see you Friday on our way to Madison.
See ya.
This has been a production of Lore Sports. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.